What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim live in Green Bay, here to talk some Green Bay Packers this evening as we're getting set to face the, let's see, who do we got? The Cardinals. I about said the Rams. We get the Cardinals here in a couple of days. Really excited about diving into that preview a little bit deeper here this evening. But before we do, let's get some Tim, how we doing this evening, sir? You doing all right?
Great, man. Happy to be here. Talk a little ball. Talk about Romeo Doubs. No,
for the first hour, right? But I'll tell you, I'm excited to get it behind us. But I'm glad we got to hear from Doubs today because to me it showed. I don't know, Tim. I'll get your full take on it, and I know everybody's entitled to their opinion, but for me, with Romeo and hearing him share. Just his mannerisms, his body, what am I trying to say here? Body language, I guess is the right way. You could tell this dude is like kind of high anxiety when he's around people. I relate to that totally. I mean, I catch more hell on this show because we don't go with this camera right here, Tim. Mm-hmm. And you know why we don't go with that camera right there? Because I am so socially awkward. I can't stand for my big head to be on the screen, and it's what we refer to as the narcissist cam and all that, right? So I say all that because I really relate to Romeo, man. He just seems like a dude, and I don't know his entire background, but what little bit I do know, he grew up really, really rough, and the guy's, he's a little socially awkward, and that seems. I feel like I'm insulting him by saying that, Tim, right. And really I'm saying it trying to defend him, but that's just kind of where we're at right now, right? It's like. You shouldn't even have to explain, okay, here's how he is. We should just kind of give people the benefit of the doubt and stop being so damn mean. Like Twitter that day was absolutely horrible. And then on the flip side, Bill Huber reported on this. Bill Huber had this story before anybody. Now, was it 100% accurate? I don't know. I haven't seen anything egregious from Bill Huber. I think everything that was mentioned could be true. So let's just try to go easy on Bill Huber too out there, folks. That's my opening statement when it comes to Romeo Doubs. And we do have a tweet of him talking in the locker room, Tim. Before we hit it, man, let me get your initial take on it as we get ready to kind of put this behind us. I know we say it every day, but it seems like every day there's a different wrinkle to the story.
Yeah, no, I'm with Drew D here in the chat. Introverted. That's my best take on it. I think Rome is an introvert. He's a reserved kind of guy, definitely a quiet guy. Seen him around the facility a couple of times. He's a reserved guy. That's the best way to put it. If you want an example of the polar opposite, look at a guy like Jair, right? Jair is outspoken. Jair will, ambush a reporter in front of the pro shop at 7:00 in the morning. And, he's an outspoken, outgoing guy. Okay. Rome is probably the polar opposite. Rome is not a big rah-rah dude. He is very humble, quiet, introvert. Totally agree.
He's not like this, Tim.
Here to tell you, Pack is back. You heard it from a fan right here.
And you're quick again, man. All right, go ahead. Sorry. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, but it's like you said, Clay, not everyone's the same, man. Teams are full of personalities, all different types of personalities. Rome is not the only quiet dude on the team. There are other guys that are a little bit more, reserved and quiet, I guess, not as outgoing. I had the same take from this locker room interview. You could tell this is not something he enjoys doing. And it does come with the territory. You've got your media obligations as a professional athlete and stuff. But,
right.
At the end of the day, Rome probably looks at this whole thing as, hey, I'm here to play football and help this team win. I have a job to do. I take my job seriously. So when it comes to all the, the extra stuff on top of that, it's something that probably doesn't really interest him. He probably like to get these things over with and keep it moving. I will say clearly, Rome was dealing with something personally. It had nothing to do with his role on this team. And, going forward, I think we'll see nothing but positivity coming out of this. And, we'll probably touch on it a little later here in the segment. But, he basically said that there was some communication that he probably could have handled better when it comes to how he dealt with, informing the team of what was going on. And I think it's important to say too, I've seen a lot of comments flying around social media today about, well, why would the Packers suspend him if it was a mental health issue that doesn't reflect well on the team? And that's couldn't be further from the truth. The Packers suspended Romeo because he was no call, no show to practice. That's literally the only reason. Rome had his reasons why he wasn't there, but at the end of the day, no call, no show. It's a technicality kind of thing. It's a formality. They had to do something, and so they're certainly not penalizing him for having dealing with personal issues or mental health or anything like that. So I know this team is behind him. Christian Watson, we got his tweet up here. Nothing but love and open arms for our guy. I absolutely love that. Jair was very outspoken in his support for Rome. And I think you're going to see this kind of galvanize the team, and they're going to stand behind their guy, and we're going to go forward and win some ball games.
Yeah, absolutely. Here is the audio. Listen, just full disclaimer. Ryan Wood tweeted this out. The locker room is really, really loud. You can barely hear what Dobby says. I'm going to play it. It's about 1:45, just kind of out of respect, because – again, everybody's going, why didn't he speak to the media? Why didn't he speak to the media? Here he is speaking to the media. So, and he's kind of soft-spoken. Obviously, he's that type of guy. But we're going to play it. First things first, though, John Alberto with the Super Chat. Thank you so much, John. The defensive players were truly hitting and tackling in last night's game. Can't remember last time I saw a Green Bay defense play like that. Hope 87 is good. You're talking about the Seahawks game, right? Seahawks-Niners. Yeah, it was a physical game. No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. And I know what you mean. I felt like that about Baltimore last year. I really did. When you watch Baltimore play defense, Tim, then you watch us play defense, I'm going, that ain't on Joe Barry. These guys need to be hitting a little bit harder because those Baltimore boys were popping pads. But thank you for the Super Chat, John. Appreciate you. Let's go ahead and hit this audio from Romeo Doubs, and then we'll wrap this part up and dive into some Cardinal stock. Here was 87 in the locker room today. Ryan Wood tweeted out, Romeo Doubs says he addressed his teammates among returning this week. The Packers receiver explains why he skipped practice before L.A. Quote, I had some things going on mentally. Notice there, too, it says he addressed his teammates among returning. Everybody in the media was going, he didn't even address the team. He addressed the team.
Yeah, and then they were looking at, footage from practice the other day and his interaction with Coach LaFleur and trying to read way too much into that. Like, guys, just pump the brakes here a little bit here.
Everybody calm down.
Yeah, calm down.
All right, here we go. Here's Rome.
Romeo, we haven't had a chance to talk to you since last week. What was the reason that you chose not to come to practice Thursday?
I had some things going on next week. I'm not feel comfortable getting too deep into that. Just, you guys hear me from me. There's some things going on myself. I did my best communicating, and I'm just thankful that I'm here right now. Every step I'm going.
Did you address the team when you returned?
Did
you address the team when you returned to practice?
I did. I would not get too. I wasn't getting too deep into that. Hearing it from the I'm thankful I'm here.
Christian was saying that it might take a little while to get the family togetherness feeling back. Do you feel that you need to earn the respect or trust back of your teammates?
That's a great question.
I went up. I thought, did I go? I didn't go. I went up. I was watching.
Just I'm thankful that I'm here now.
Yeah, I'm telling you, dude, I watch it now. I'm trying not to get emotional.
Yeah, like, it's hard to hard to see that.
It is, man, because you could tell it's like, well, you're obligated to stand in front of and listen, the way that these interviews are done, this is no way, shape, or form a shot at the media. It isn't. If anything, the NFL could do better with this. Isn't it wild, too, that this week the conversation became the players union is trying to get it set up now to where they have to do kind of a press conference form as opposed to the locker room, because they're literally 7 or 8 microphones in front of your face, cameras everywhere. You're crowded back into your locker, and you feel like a piece of meat, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and you're trapped. You can't go anywhere.
No,
and if you walked away, that'll be, national news and,
Yeah, definitely. Mrs. Green in the chat says, I want to give him the biggest hug. Amen. And again, I put a tweet. I don't even remember what I said in the tweet, but I was kind of in my feels at the moment because I watched all these interviews, and it was like, I don't know, man. I felt bad for him. It's like, can we just give him a damn break? Like, it's obvious something's going on. It don't take a rocket scientist to realize it. And we got other people the last 48 hours are running around going, he's selfish and he's this, he's that. This is what I said, and I can't use the language I used on Twitter, but I said I ain't gonna BS y'all. When I hear Romeo speak and try to explain what happened, it makes me emotional. Everyone's raised in different environments, with some obviously easier than others. I'm rooting for this man because you can see he wants to do what's right. That's just my 2 cents, and that's how he comes across to me, Tim. He looks like an honest dude who just wants to do the right thing, and he's extremely uncomfortable, man.
Yeah. My wife also in the comments here. Rome is a human being, just like the rest of us, right? Sometimes we go through things and don't always handle it right the first time. I think he learned from this. We can too. Absolutely. And he owned up to that part for sure. But the main thing, like she's saying here, is to remember he's a person. Like you said, we treat these people like, like fish in a fish tank, like they're here for our amusement or something. And, we forget that, professional athlete or not, I mean, we all go through things in life, and we all handle them differently. Clearly, Rome is the type of person that goes within himself. He's not we just talked about this. He's not an extrovert. He's probably more introverted, likes to keep things private. Clearly said he's not comfortable talking about the details because, hey, let's be honest. If it is something personal, why would you want to publicly talk about that, right? Like, I don't want to publicly talk about anything personal going on in my life either. And I'm not a famous football player. So I think we all need to just kind of ease up a little bit on this whole situation. And also remember that this is over with as far as the suspension and all of that. He's back. He's in the facility. What we should all be doing now as fans is supporting him and supporting this team as they work through this together. And hopefully, first and foremost, Rome is okay. I joke about him going off this Sunday and having a hell of a game and everything, but hey, that's just football. Let's take football out of the equation and hope, Romeo Doubs, the person, is doing okay.
Right. And again, there were a lot of people jumping to conclusions that, are they going to force him the ball now? No, that's not the right thing. You can't reward someone for doing this. It just, I don't know, it just seemed like it was all off base. Chad Inc. in the chat says Dobbs was clearly dealing with a personal crisis / mental health issue, and because of it, he couldn't talk about it. I've been there. It's not the right way to deal with it, but it's easier said than done. Amen to that, buddy. Amen. Dennis Shook, been a member for 5 months now. Appreciate you, Dennis. He said, I love listening to you both. Always excellent. Thank you for the kind words there, Dennis.
Thanks, Dennis.
Yeah. So, again, we're going to kind of turn the page on the Romeo Doubs thing. I just want to hit one last tweet. Matt Schneidman tweeted out, Romeo Doubs said wanting a bigger role had nothing to do with skipping practice. Quote, I had to make sure that I got the family together again. I'd say there was some things going on off the field. So as just the organization and just the staff, players, there's nothing going on within that area. So I just want to make myself clear there. So right. He's saying all it is personal stuff.
Yeah. So there's nothing to read between the lines there. It's pretty clear, right? I'm dealing with some personal stuff. It's got nothing to do with this football team and my role on this football team. Just going through some personal stuff, Just try to be respectful of it, Yeah, maybe he didn't handle it the best. A no call, no show. Hey, it is what it is. He missed a game. He was suspended. Right. Served his time. It's over with. Let's focus on what's ahead of us now.
I know there were some people too on social media that were saying, well, the front office handled this the wrong way by suspending him. Then that's just mean. Like Tim was saying, you still got to call. You still got to report in. You can't set that precedent, or else moving forward, that's the new precedent, right? Well, you can just, something goes wrong, you don't have to contact us. Just get in here when you can. You can't. I understand why the team did that. Now, if the team hadn't suspended him, I would love the team even more. Don't get me wrong, but from a business standpoint, from a professional standpoint, I understand why they did it. I do. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. But so that's pretty much that. We'll move along here and talk a little more football and kind of get into the Cardinals game preview a little bit deeper. Drew D in the chat said, I'm feeling fairly confident this week, but with Love playing through injury, we can't get overconfident against anybody. Drew, I keep seeing this point spread, man. And Green Bay, in some cases, catching or 5-point favorites, 6-point favorites is fluctuating. I'm going, no. I'm telling you, if I wasn't a Packer fan, I'm going to be real with you. On the surface, I would probably take the Cardinals and the points. I think it's going to be a close ball game. I think it's going to come down to like a field goal.
How dare you?
The Cardinals, man, they've got an explosive offense. Their defense is pretty much cheeks, but that offense, I mean, we showed you the read option, the zone read that Kyler Murray had last week against the Niners. I think it was last week. He broke 20-mile-an-hour. It's a 50-yard touchdown run. Like they can hit you just like that, right? So you can't overlook anybody in the league. It's why I always say, and I know many people probably disagree with me, but the difference between the best team in the league and the worst team in the league is like this.
Yep. And
all it takes is one or two mistakes, and you're looking up and you're down by 6 points, 9 points, 12 points, and oh crap, what do we do now, right? And that's all it takes really to fall behind in the league. Drew D with the super chat said, do you think the Packers give Doubs his snaps back or make him work his way back up? Appreciate the super chat, Drew. That's a great question, man. I hope, the way that Matt LaFleur's offense is geared anyway, I don't think they look at it like you get this number of snaps, you get this number of snaps, you get this number of snaps. I think they look at it like, here's the positions everyone's playing, right? And all right, how do we want to attack this defense? And we'll, for instance, if you're going to play a lot of 12 personnel, that means the receivers got to come off the field, right? Well, we seen last week, I almost called it the goon squad. There was one running play where it was either 11 or 12 personnel, and the receivers that were in there were Dontavion Wicks, Bo Melton, and Malik Heath. It's like you could tell we're going to run the ball right here. That's their run block package. Let's get those receivers in there. From a personnel standpoint, it's being radioed in 11 personnel. So they're going to trigger their nickel or their big dime, whatever it is they run. And then all of a sudden you look up and go, oh, these are the three best blocking receivers, right? That's just one example. So I hope it isn't something where they're like, nope, Doubs is now fourth on the depth chart. I hope that ain't the case. But, if it is, maybe there's a little more to the story than we know. That's possible. But I hope that ain't the case. What do you think, Tim? You think he gets his snaps back like nothing ever happened? Or
Yep.
You think they might bear? Because there were some people on Sports Talk today saying he should be fourth on the depth chart now.
Well, those idiots can choke on their own words. I don't believe that at all. And I'm going to go with Scoot and what Scoot said. I don't think 2 days is going to undo 3 years of preparation and building to where we're at today on this team. Like I said, Dobby served the suspension. It's over with. Put him in that lineup and let's get him going early and often. I fully expect him to start. I don't see this affecting his status in the lineup, other than the fact that unless we're looking at the X's and O's factor, right? And like you said, in Matt LaFleur's offense, if we feel like, maybe there's some other guys that match up better against this Cardinals secondary, I could see them maybe making some adjustments there. But I fully expect Rome to be out there, especially considering, Scoot's kind of up in the air too. We don't know if he's going to go, probably leaning towards him not playing. So I would definitely think there's a lot of room for Romeo Doubs in that starting lineup. And like you said, it all depends on what personnel groupings we're going to be running against this Arizona defense, which has been kind of, up and down, stagnant to say the least. I'm definitely not intimidated by the Cardinals defense. So I definitely think this is a game that you want to put 87 out there and get him that ball early and often. Let's get him going, get him back in his, playing shape. He has missed some time here, but I don't think that I certainly don't think this warrants him moving down spots on the depth chart.
I don't either. Judy, thank you so much for the super chat, buddy. We appreciate you. Dennis Shook with the super chat said, every time we play the Cards, it's a wild game. It really is, Tim. I go all the way back. You remember the playoff game where Aaron Rodgers gets the face mask in overtime that doesn't get called, the strip sack, all that. And then, of course, just a few years ago, the Rasul Douglas game where he picks the pass off on the final drive there out in Arizona. I agree with Dennis here, man. It seems like when these two teams get together, it's always a dogfight.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like I say about home games, right? We haven't had the best track record of protecting 1265 these past couple of years. So I can't believe I'm saying it, but it's like I'm kind of nervous. We're at home. We should feel confident, but I don't know. I'm with Dennis here. Every time we play this team, it seems to be kind of a crazy matchup. So I think you might be onto something there with your prediction of this being kind of a one-score game. Real close. Never know. Could be one of those ugly games. Yards hard to come by. We talked about the weather possibly having an impact. Pretty good chance of rain. It's going to be a bit windy. So, this could be a grinder of a game. You never know.
Yeah. And if the weather is a factor and these teams are going to have to run the football, I really like the Packers' chances here as PFF Green Bay Packers. We talked about this last night. Josh Jacobs is set to excel after contact against the Cardinals defense. Jacobs has 304 rushing yards after contact this season, ranking third among running backs. The Arizona Cardinal defense ranks 29th in yards after contact allowed to running backs, setting up a favorable matchup for Josh Jacobs. So, again, man, if the weather's a factor, don't be afraid to press into that run. We kind of talked about it quite a bit last night. But, Dennis, thank you so much for the super chat, pal. We appreciate you.
All the more reason to have a guy like Rome in the lineup too, right? Like if maybe the passing game is going to be tough, don't you want a big possession type receiver like Rome out there, a guy that's going to make those tough contested grabs along the sideline? I feel good about Doubs being out there in this type of a game.
Yeah, I do too, man. Number one Packer fan says, I'm watching high school football tonight, sounding like Clay. Run bunch nasty eggs. Well, those kids, if you said
that ain't no problem.
Well,
if you told those high school kids run bunch nasty eggs, they would go, what? What is bunch nasty eggs? Drew D, would be awesome if Doubs got in and popped off. That's what I'm hoping for, Drew. Just to shut everybody up. That would be absolutely awesome.
Yep.
Which, by the way, we are watching Friday Night Lights here on TV. We got Friday Night Rivals. Shout out WCYB, one of the corniest news stations on the face of the planet. I love watching their 6 o'clock news. It is hilarious. You could air that on Comedy Central. I promise you, man. But Union beating Ridgeview right now 14-0. Come on, Ridgeview. Don't turn this into a boat race now. We need good football on Friday night. So let's move along to injuries, Tim. One of the big things, Jair Alexander, is he going to play, right? Matt Schneiden tweeted this out and said, Jair Alexander said today there's a good possibility he plays Sunday after missing the last two games with a groin injury. Let's see what he had to say in the locker room. Real quick clip here.
And everybody just wanted to make sure, I'm fully healthy before I step back out there because, when you're dealing with the groin, it's pretty – so as a DB, you need that in a lot of cases. So they just wanted to make sure everything was good to go.
Do you know?
And everybody –
So there you go. Would be absolutely awesome, Tim, if Jair Alexander can somehow play on Sunday, man.
He almost played last week against the Rams. I mean, it was literally a pregame on the field warming up kind of decision that they made that decision to hold him out another week. And hearing what he's saying here, it makes perfect sense, right? It's kind of tricky. You don't want to put a guy back out there too soon and then really, really screw it up and do something that's going to send you to IR. So I think the extra week and then him being limited, off and on at practice, I think there's a good possibility he plays Sunday too. I really do. If I was going to bet on it, I'd bet that Ja plays. Hopefully a lot too. So be good to see him back in the lineup. And then just from that standpoint, to see what we do, like we talked about, the Javon Bullard slot and, Keyshawn playing on the boundary, how will this affect things if we get, 23 back out there? Let's see what we do with this lineup. Give Coach Half a little bit more flexibility with some of those corners and those safeties. So I certainly hope Ja plays this weekend. Really do.
Yeah, me too, man. So here's a quick glance at the end. We got the full injury report we can hit on, but I wanted to hit this from Paul Brettel. Questionable: Alexander, Watson, Mosby, Rasheed Walker. He was limited today with the knee.
Ugh.
And Jordan Morgan. All right, so all those guys are listed as questionable, out, already ruled out Devontae Wyatt. Okay, so when you look at the full injury report here, Tim, here's what we got. Again, we just talked about the questionable. That means a 50% chance of playing is essentially what that means. As far as some of the other injuries, worth noting, Kenny was limited all week long. Edgerrin Cooper was limited Wednesday, Thursday, and was upgraded to full participation today, along with Jonathan Ford and Elton Jenkins. is full participation too. So Tucker Kraft's still limited. Jordan Morgan, like we said, he's listed as questionable. So is Aaron Mosby. It's official now. Luke Musgrave was placed on the injured reserve, so that's been taken care of. He's going to be out for at least 4 weeks. And like we said, Rasheed Walker, Christian Watson, both questionable with Devontae Wyatt being out. Now, as far as the Cardinals side, Zay Jones is going to be out. Questionable is offensive lineman Christian Jones. They're already banged up at the offensive line really, really bad. Kelvin Beachum, offensive lineman, questionable as well. We talked about they had to put Will Hernandez on injured reserve, so they're already kind of light there on the roster. Their kicker, Matt Prater, is actually questionable. Darius Robinson, the rookie defensive lineman out of Missouri, if I remember correctly, did not participate. He is ruled out. And Garrett Williams, cornerback, is also questionable. So they're dealing with just about the same amount of injuries. Really already got 2 listed as out there. So anytime, I'm pretty sure Darius Robinson, was he a first-round pick, Tim? He had to have been, right?
I think so.
Because he was up there. What do you think of this injury report? Anything stick out to you? I'll try to look that up real quick.
Yeah, Rasheed Walker popping up with the knee. That's not good. Hopefully it's not super serious. And then, of course, Devontae Wyatt, another week here that he's going to be out with that ankle. I just feel so bad for Devontae Wyatt, man. That guy was just hitting his stride, man, playing really good ball. Injuries are part of this game, so it's tough to see that. I do think that a lot of these questionables are probably going to go, with the exception of maybe Jordan Morgan. They may hold him out another week, but then again, if we're down Rasheed Walker, we could use a tackle. I don't know what their plan is to do on the left side of that line there if Rasheed doesn't play. So something to keep an eye on there. But those names definitely stood out to me. Zane Anderson, yes, he's a real player. He's full participant. That's good to see him out there. And then, like I said, Jair. I think Jair is going to go, despite being limited all week and questionable. I think he starts on Sunday.
Yeah, the vibe I'm getting with, and thank you so much, Drew. He said that Darius Robinson was number 27 overall. I actually confirmed that too. So
nice.
It's first-round pick. They're without their first-round pick. It sounds silly, but that stuff, it starts to add up, no doubt about it, man. Watson, I'm kind of getting the vibe that people close to the inside don't feel like he's going to play, like they may play it kind of safe this week. With Romeo being back, that does kind of make sense, I think. So we'll see how that shakes out. Seth Reuter with the super chat. Good to see you in here, Seth. Hope you're doing well, buddy. He says, if you guys had to pick between Doubs and Wicks for fantasy, who you taking? Also, hoping Coop gets 40 snaps this week. Amen to that. Keep Cooper on the field. Matter of fact, we got a stat on that. Let me drop this injury report down. If I could find it, check this out. Seth over here steering the ship for us. PFF Green Bay Packers, Edgerrin Cooper among linebackers in week 5, 85.6 PFF grade. That was 5th in the league. You had 77.1 coverage grade, 6th best in the league, 2 pressures, and 1 sack.
Here's the guy.
I was waiting for it, Tim. If you didn't hit it, I was going to make it awkward and doing it myself.
That ain't no problem. That ain't no problem.
So, Seth, yeah, as far as between Wicks and Doubs, oh man, it's tough. Because Wicks I think he's due for a big game.
Yep.
He got 10. I think he got 10 targets the last 2 games. The drops have been an issue, obviously. If he straightens that out, man, the separation he's creating, I want to say Wicks. I really do. Now we're going to dive into some of the tendencies of the Cardinals and their defense and what they're good at playing against. Like, for instance, just on the surface, and we'll get into it a little heavier here in a minute, their EPA ranking against specific personnel, 11 personnel, they're 14th against it, so kind of middle of the pack. 12 personnel, they're 31st in the league at EPA ranking. All right. What does that mean? It means they really struggle against 12 personnel. So if LaFleur sees that information and he sees the game plan fit to go, okay, let's build this around 12 personnel. If you do build it around personnel, what you got to ask yourself now is who will be on the field as the 2 wide receivers, right? And again, Luke Musgrave being out, Ben Sims being interjected, which last week we seen it, and they didn't really miss a beat when it came to 12 personnel. We showed the pancake block, the double-double where our boy Ben Sims doubled up on the end, got to the next level, pancake the linebacker. I would think it would be Doubs in on 12 personnel, but when you go 11, it's obvious, Tim, that LaFleur is really trying to scheme open Dontavion Wicks, man. That dude is he's running butt naked through the trailer park every game, man. What do you think? What would be your pick there for fantasy? I'll try to come to PFF and see.
Probably the last person on earth that should be giving fantasy football advice, but I will tell you, everything you just said about Wicks is true. I mean, totally poised for a breakout type of game. He's probably overdue. And he had some issues with the drops, right? But that's it. No issues blocking people into the cooler on the sideline. No issues cooking DBs in coverage and getting open in space. Tay Wicks he's primed for a big game. I will say this just to be a little different. I would go ahead and say my pick is Rome. I would take Romeo Doubs. I would anticipate that he's going to be a part of this game plan, and I think it'll be good for this team to see him find some success early. And he could get a lot of targets in this game, just like normal, really. I mean, he's one of the better targets. We know Jordan Love is super comfortable throwing the football to Rome. There is a chemistry there between those two guys, much like he has with a lot of these receivers. But just to be different, I would go ahead and pick Romeo Doubs for a big game Sunday. Start him.
And looking at PFF's best bets here, Seth, Romeo Doubs, it seems like most of the market's set around 42.5 yards. They don't have Wicks listed. The thing about Wicks, though, if you'll remember, he caught a couple touchdown passes. What was that? Was it against Minnesota maybe? No, against the Rams, right? He caught 2 touchdown passes.
Yep.
So he's obviously a target in the red zone. Jaden Reed garners a lot of attention when you get down there in the red zone. I know that. So if you're thinking touchdown-wise, Tay Wicks probably. But then again, man, Romeo Doubs, if you're in 12 personnel and they load that box because they're so bad at stopping the run, I could see a couple back shoulder fade tutters to Romeo too. It's tough, man. It's tough. You spent $5 to get no advice, but we appreciate you supporting the show. But we are not fantasy guys. There's no doubt about that. Now, live betting, I'm your guy. We're on a heater right now. There's no two ways about that. But appreciate it, man. Thank you for the super chat. And we agree with Coop, man. Got to get him more snaps. That dude's so dynamic, no doubt about it.
Yep.
All right, let's see what else we got here. Anything else?
I mean, Cooper's been getting more snaps every week, right? Every single week we've seen a little bit more. I think last week he was nearly at 30, right? Something like that. Mm-hmm. I would anticipate that number to continue to go up here.
Yeah. Ron Samble agrees with you, Tim. I'd pick Doubs if it's wet outside. He's got the sure hands. Yeah. He's got such strong hands, man. There's no
and think of that red zone threat too. If we're pounding the run down the field, we get inside the red zone. It might be time to dial up that play action and find Dobby on like you said, the back shoulder. Give him a little fade. Maybe even run him on a slant or something. You never know. He's just deadly inside the red zone. So I'm looking forward to seeing Rome out there on Sunday.
Yeah, me too. And I bet he's looking forward to being out there too, man, because
I think so too. I think after all this crap, man, he just wants to play ball.
Yeah. And many people that deal with like anxiety and stuff like that, one of the things that ends up happening, and I'll tell you this firsthand, my brother who just passed away this year, he worked every second of the day. He was a letter carrier for the Postal Service. And that man, he dealt with a lot of mental issues from basically childhood PTSD. Then he served in the first Gulf War over in the Persian Gulf, and dealt with a lot of stuff. And he wanted to be at work. He wanted to just tune everything out and go stay busy. I could see Rome being like that too. Like, hey, I just want to get on that football field and play ball, And that I'm sure that kind of hurt last week, not being able to play. Anyway, Greg Rice says more for Coop and Hop. Hopper is one of those guys, Tim, that if you'll remember in training camp in the preseason, Ryan was talking about this the other day on his pod. He really flashed,
Yep.
And we haven't even seen him because he's been kind of buried on the depth chart. Thank God we've been fairly healthy that we haven't had to utilize him. And of course, Eric Wilson's one of those kind of steady Eddie guys that if you need him in a pinch, you can throw him in there. But, when it comes to Hopper, man, he is definitely what they refer to as the thud backer on this team. He's that guy that brings the pop, man, especially against the runs. So who knows, man? We might look up next year and go, hey, looky here, we got our third linebacker, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of special team reps for Tyron Hopper. You're going to see him on the field most of the time in special team situations. But hey, that's how you play your way onto a football team. I mean, we saw that with Evan Williams early in the year. A lot of special teams reps. Now the guy's being inserted into the lineup. So, I think middle linebacker is kind of that's a work in progress. I think for Hafley and Campanelli and the defensive staff, kind of finding the best lineups. And again, that's week to week, depends on your matchups. But you got to feel good about our rookies, right? Both Cooper and Hopper, I think are going to pan out pretty well. But yeah, it'd be nice to see a little bit more Tyron Hopper back there. You never know. I'm waiting for one of these games like you, Clayton, where we just go up 3 or 4 scores and play from ahead, maybe protect a lead all day long and start putting some of these guys into the game and giving them some reps,
Go up by about 25 points and let Malik Willis play the entire fourth quarter. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? So see if he can do it again. Let's see if he can do it again. So appreciate everybody hanging out with us. If you would, take a quick second. I hate to ask, but if you could just take a quick second, hit that like button. It helps more than you know. We appreciate y'all making us part of your Friday evening here. At by Ryan Wood on Twitter, tweeted out, question, is Tucker Kraft crazy? Josh Jacobs, laughing answer. So here is Josh Jacobs basically responding to Ryan Wood's question, is Tucker Kraft crazy? I think we all know the answer to this question, but here we go.
He is a little crazy, but I love it. Like, crazy in all the good ways. But, man, I mean, you see the way that he plays, man. He comes out and works like that every day. He works like that. He's intentional with what he does. He's always positive, and he's going to give you everything he got. And I think that, he's reaping the rewards of that right now. Man, it's fun playing with a guy like that that'll put his body on the line for you, get hit by 4 people to get a first down, things like that. I mean, you got to love teammates like that.
You kind of got into it there, but what are the good ways for a tight end to be crazy?
Well, I feel like every tight end got to have a little loose screw because, like, what they do is not easy. They're going against defensive ends, but then they're running routes against DBs, and they expect to win. And, being physical and, making big plays in open space and being able to run the way he does, I think it takes a different kind of mentality, and he definitely has that.
He definitely does have that. There's no two ways about it there, Josh. And again, shout out to Baz for finally putting it together. That Kraft yak and cheese, got to have it, man. Got to have that.
You heard it from a fan right here.
Right, that's right. So this was pretty cool, man. This came down the pike here. Dan Wisner on Twitter tweeted this out. With the Packers' recent injuries / receiving room situation, Tucker Kraft has seen the benefit tight end 1 usage the last 2 games. Among tight ends who have ran 25 routes or more, he is one of 4 tight ends to rank top 12 in the following metrics. All right, they've got YPRR, 1D, routes ran, I believe it is. Let's see, FPRR, and then RR per game. So I think that's routes run per game. So the 4 tight ends that are mentioned here are Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Jake Ferguson, I think of the Cowboys, I believe.
Yep.
And then Tucker Kraft. Now, if we look at this a little bit closer, this is what we're talking about. So yards per route run is this far left column, if I'm reading this correctly. Tucker Kraft is 6th at 2.14. All right. I think the next column is first downs per route ran. Okay. He's 11th at 0.07. And then what would FP per route run be, Tim? Any idea what that would be?
You got me, man.
I don't know why they do this and never.
Hopefully it's not flags per route run.
That would suck, right? Tucker Kraft is number 1 in whatever it is. I feel like it should be really self-explanatory as to what this is. Help me out here in the chat. Fantasy points. This is from a fantasy dominant website too. These guys that I'm following, Jake, that makes sense. So
I'm with it.
Fantasy points per route run. And that does make sense because, again, he's putting up big numbers right now and getting in the end zone. So that is fantasy points per route run at 0.653. If it ain't Jake, we're going to pretend like it is. You know what I'm saying, bro? And then routes run per game, I guess, is what that final one is there. Tucker Kraft is 2nd in the league at that. Is the logo obviously covering that up. Jake Shavink says Kraft is taking the Kittle path, and I love it. He really is, man. He's that dude. you kind of got to be crazy to be a combo tight end now. And he you could tell he enjoys the game. And when we talk about, and I know Jake's big into the draft, I'm sure he'll attest to this. The big thing that I think a lot of people missed him when we're talking draft is, I think, one of, if not the most important aspects to drafting a prospect. Do they love ball? Period, case closed. Do they just love playing football? That's something that I know Bill Belichick take very, very serious when he would bring someone into the organization. You gotta fall in love with the game of football. And you had so many people in the past that were so talented, but you could tell they didn't like football. They were just, Ricky Williams, great running back, one of the best running backs of all time, in my opinion. That dude, you could tell he was socially awkward, much like, very uncomfortable around the media like Rome is. And then also, when he made enough money, he just retired. He was like, I'm done. I can't, you could tell he wasn't like crazy about the game of football. That doesn't make him a bad person. He's human. But Tucker Kraft really seems like I think back to his rookie year during training camp, Matt LaFleur, the presser, said that as he was leaving the building, all the coaches had already left, and he was leaving the building, as he walked by one of the break areas, Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft were still in there learning the playbook. They were studying the playbook together. Tucker just seems like one of those dudes that loves football, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's good, right? When you have that, when you've got the talent and the skill, and then you love what you're doing. Ricky Williams was a great example of the other side of that, right? Just because you're talented, just because you're highly recruited and you go pro, doesn't mean you're in love with your job. I'm sure nobody out there is a stranger to that. We've all been in jobs that we might have been really good at, but we didn't exactly enjoy them. And football is a tough game, man. It takes a lot out of you, spiritually, mentally, physically, obviously. It's a lot. It's a lot to remember. And, a lot of guys, they react differently. Some guys have long careers. Some guys have short careers. Some guys, that love and that passion for football carries them through, and they play well beyond, what we expected them to play. I mean, what Travis Kelce, what year is that guy in now? You know what I mean? Like these guys they're getting up there, and that's what'll keep you going, because when your body's banged up to crap and you're basically hurting all the time, what other than the love for the game is going to make you go out there every single day? Because you're right, you get to the point you've made several $1 million playing this game that we all love. I don't think it's the money at that point later in your career. I really don't. I think guys want to play for the love and play for a chance to win a championship. So it says a lot about our guy Tuck Norris, for sure.
I think so too, man. So for those of you listening on the pod, that's going to do it for hour one. We will see you on the other side for hour two. We appreciate you.